Maybe you've been wondering, could staying single really be the best decision of my life? And I'll tell you right now, yes. If you are chosen, this isn't just a decision, it's a calling. And today, I'm going to show you why. When you truly understand that you're not here by accident, everything changes. The way you dress, the way you speak, the conversations you choose to have, and especially the people you allow into your life. From an early age, maybe you felt you didn't fit into the same circles. Things that everyone else considered normal seemed empty to you. That's not arrogance or being too much. That's separation. Being set apart doesn't mean locking yourself away, isolated without friends. It means knowing there's such a great mission over your life that you simply cannot waste time and energy on connections that don't draw you closer to God. Many think that being single is a sign of loneliness, but for the chosen, it's a time of alignment, a clean, fertile ground where God plants the right seeds. I remember a friend once saying, "It's not that I don't want to love, it's that I can't afford to be distracted from what God has called me to do." That sentence stuck with me because it's exactly the truth. A relationship outside of God's timing can become like an anchor, and you, someone called to soar high, can end up chained to the ground. If you've ever felt that the right doors won't open, while others keep showing up just to pull you off track, know this: it's not a coincidence, it's protection. God is preserving you for something greater. The single person who understands this doesn't live frustrated, they live prepared. They know that the call to remain set apart is, in fact, the call to remain at the very center of God's will. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. How singleness for the chosen isn't a phase to simply endure, but a divine position to live the best chapter of your story. If this spoke to you in any way, that's already proof this message was meant for you today. So before we continue, click like so more of the chosen can receive this word. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episodes, and write in the comments, "I choose to remain set apart." I want to see who is truly committed to this calling. How many times have people looked at you with pity because you're single? Or asked you, almost with concern, "Aren't you going to find someone?" As if your life were somehow incomplete. I need to tell you something. Being single does not mean being alone. It means being available for your purpose. I remember a conversation I had with a chosen woman full of dreams. She told me, "I used to blame myself a lot for being single, thinking there was something wrong with me, until one day God spoke to me. I've hidden you because I'm still preparing you for something that will require your full attention." That struck me deeply, because so often, what the world calls lack, heaven calls protection. When you are chosen, your season of singleness isn't a blank gap in the calendar of your life. It's a fertile field. It's in this time that God sharpens your vision, strengthens your identity, and aligns your heart so that when the right moment comes, nothing and no one will pull you off track. And you know what's even more incredible? When you live in your purpose, the sense of fulfillment is so great that the absence of a relationship doesn't weigh you down. Because you're not trying to fill a void, you're overflowing. But here's a truth that might sting. Many rush ahead, trading years of preparation for a momentary companionship. They try to speed up a process that God carefully designed, and later they pay the price. Sometimes far too high, for confusing loneliness with direction. For the chosen, singleness is like military training. It's intense, it's demanding, but it equips you for battles that few would be willing to face. It's in this time that you learn to confront your own internal battles without using another person as an emotional crutch. It's in this time that you discover, when you understand this, something changes. You stop looking at singleness as a desert and start seeing it as a garden being cultivated. Because loneliness is the absence of purpose. But when you have purpose, even silence becomes productive. So, next time someone asks you why you're still single, answer with a smile. Because I'm in the most important season of my life, and I'm not going to waste it. Not everyone who crosses your path is meant to walk with you. The truth is, many of the greatest delays in a chosen one's life don't come from big sins, but from small emotional distractions that seem harmless at first. I remember a young man I once met. He was strong in his purpose, seeking God with intensity, until one day someone appeared. Attractive, kind, full of attention. He thought, it's fine, it's just friendship. But little by little, that friendship began to take up space. The conversations grew longer, the prayers grew shorter. The plans that once revolved around his calling started to revolve around that person. And he didn't realize he was trading his true path for a road that was never his. That's the trap. Emotional distractions don't arrive with warning signs. They come with laughter, with late-night messages, with that feeling of, finally, someone understands me. But behind it, they can be stealing your clarity, your discipline, and even your discernment. The problem isn't building relationships with people. The problem is when they start to take up the space that only God should occupy, when your mind spends more time imagining conversations than dreaming God's dreams, when your heart is moved more by text messages than by the Word. And here's something that might hurt. Many of these connections aren't harmful because the person is bad, but because the timing is wrong. A gift given at the wrong time can become a burden. A relationship that seems like a blessing, but wasn't sent by God, can slowly pull you off course, a few centimeters each day, until months later you realize you are miles away from your purpose. The chosen cannot afford to waste emotional energy on those who are not aligned with their destiny. This isn't pride, it's protection. It's understanding that even good things can be dangerous if they're not part of God's perfect will. So the next time someone tries to take up more space in your heart than the Creator himself, remember this: the enemy doesn't have to destroy you, he only needs to distract you. There's a huge difference between waiting and preparing. Many people think waiting on God doesn't mean standing still. For the chosen, singleness is a training ground to sharpen skills, strengthen the spirit, and prepare for the battles ahead. Biblical examples like Joseph, David, and Jesus show that preparation always precedes calling. Passive waiting leads to missed opportunities. Active preparation builds the structure to sustain God's plans. Not every relationship is a blessing. Some are chains in disguise that can delay or derail your purpose. True waiting means moving forward in alignment with God until He says, "Now is the time." The wrong relationship doesn't have to pull you far from God all at once. Just one small step each day can derail your destiny. Being unequally yoked isn't only about religion, it's about direction. Love without shared purpose becomes a trap, draining energy, weakening faith, and stealing peace. For the chosen, focus is essential. Divided attention slows progress. As Paul wrote, the unmarried can fully devote themselves to the Lord without distraction. It's not about avoiding love, but protecting your calling. Don't let anything steal the place of your priority. When you choose to live with absolute focus, incredible things begin to happen. Ideas flow, the right doors open, and you realize you're in perfect step with what God is doing in your life. It's like running a marathon without carrying extra weight. Each step takes you farther, faster, but undivided focus requires courage. Courage to say no to invitations, to connections, even to opportunities that look good but aren't meant for now. It takes discipline to keep your schedule aligned with your purpose, even when no one is watching. And it takes faith to believe that when you give yourself fully to God, He will take care of every other area of your life. A focused, chosen one doesn't live chasing blessings. He lives in the place where blessings naturally find Him, because focus is a sign of spiritual maturity, and spiritual maturity attracts God's provision. So, if you've been feeling tired, confused, or unproductive, Maybe it's not a lack of strength. Maybe it's an excess of distractions. For the chosen, focus isn't a luxury, it's survival. Have you noticed how great leaders, the ones who change generations, spend a lot of time alone before reaching the peak of their purpose? That's no coincidence. For the chosen, singleness functions as a training ground that shapes not only character but also the ability to lead. I once met a woman who now leads a ministry that impacts thousands of lives. She told me that before reaching that point, she spent years single, not fully understanding why she was alone. During that time, she learned to listen, to discern, to make hard decisions on her own, to manage both internal and external conflicts. She developed skills that no one could have taught her if she had been busy maintaining a relationship that wasn't ready for her. The chosen understand that leadership demands emotional, spiritual, and mental preparation. And none of that can truly be learned when your attention is divided or when you're seeking validation from elsewhere. Leadership requires independence, courage, and clarity of purpose. Singleness is like a laboratory where you test your limits, strengthen your faith, learn to deal with frustrations, and discover your own strength. Many see singleness as a limitation, but in reality it is freedom. Freedom to focus on what truly matters, to grow without depending on anyone's approval, to build a solid legacy. Because when the moment for leadership arrives, there's no room for insecurity, indecision, or emotional distractions. And here's the secret: time alone is not empty. It is. Every decision you make, every challenge you face alone, every prayer offered without a witness, each of these is shaping you into the person your future calls for. The chosen one who understands this has no rush. He knows the forge is long, but the outcome is worth every second of waiting. So the next time you feel alone, remember, while many lose themselves trying to fill emptiness, you are being prepared to lead with purpose, authority, and lasting impact. Many confuse being alone with feeling lost, but the truth is that loneliness only hurts when inner peace is missing. For the chosen, cultivating this peace is essential. I remember a young man who shared his struggle during singleness. He was constantly anxious, comparing himself to others' relationships, feeling that something was wrong with him. Until one day, someone said to him, "Don't expect someone else to bring peace to your heart. First, find it within yourself and in God." It was like a light in the middle of darkness. Inner peace doesn't happen magically. It is cultivated daily through prayer, self-awareness, studying the Word, emotional discipline, and gratitude. It's learning to love your own company, to value each achievement, and to recognize that you are in the right season. When you cultivate inner peace, you begin to see singleness not as a punishment, but as a season of growth. It's no longer about who is missing in your life. It's about what God is doing within you. It is in this space that you can hear your own voice clearly, make decisions with discernment, and prepare for future relationships and greater challenges without anxiety or rush. And here's the most beautiful part. Inner peace becomes a quiet strength. It shields you from distractions, guides you to make the right decisions, and keeps your heart steady even when the world pressures you. Those who have inner peace don't depend on approval, nor do they panic over others' opinions, because they know they are exactly where they need to be. Therefore, during your season of singleness, guard your heart, strengthen your mind, and stay aligned. The peace you build now will become the foundation for everything God will do through you in the future. The life of a chosen one is like a diamond being polished. Every moment alone, every challenge faced, every silent prayer, all of it shapes you to shine brighter. But you must learn how to turn this time into strength and wisdom. I once met a woman who spent years single, and at first, she once felt lost. But she began to change her perspective. Instead of lamenting, she started studying, reading uplifting books, learning new skills, serving others, and deepening her relationship with God. Every difficulty became a form of training, and every period of waiting became an opportunity for growth. Time alone can be used in two ways: as emptiness or as investment. If you complain, compare yourself, or get distracted, it passes without leaving any fruit. But if you decide to learn from each challenge, reflect on your experiences, develop your character, and strengthen your faith, it becomes an endless source of wisdom. The chosen one understands that strength is not the absence of difficulties, but the ability to overcome them with faith. Wisdom is not merely accumulating information. It is learning to discern, choosing the right paths, and not being led astray by the illusions of the world. Time alone is the school where you train these essential skills, so that when the right moment comes, you are ready to lead, love, and impact without hesitation. Here is the secret. When you transform solitude into growth, no one can shake you. Others' opinions lose power, distractions no longer divert you, and anxiety about the future disappears. Because you know you are being shaped for something far greater. So make the most of every minute alone. Study, pray, develop talents, learn from mistakes. Every step you take alone is, in reality, a giant step toward the purpose God has prepared for you.